Hello everyone, I am Julian Morris with the Channel 5 News. In the headlines, leader of the Dominica Labour Party says his party is ready for the general election whenever it is called. The Prime Minister says the UWP's Dr. Thompson Fontaine is no longer a senator after missing 3 consecutive sittings of Parliament, and a June 1st opening for Jungle Bay Resort and Spa. The details coming up.
Rudolph Thomas Enterprise in Portsmouth, your suppliers of building materials and hardware products. Over 20 years experience in the business. Rudolph Thomas has lumber and plywood, galvanized and fenced pipe. Check out Rudolph Thomas for ceramic and vinyl floor and wall tiles, nails, nuts and bolts, paint and painting supplies. And check out their line of electrical and hand tools. Go now to Rudolph Thomas on 1240 Bay Street in Portsmouth.
Prime Minister Skerrit says the country will have a critical choice to make at the next general election whenever it is called. The Prime Minister said the choice is between his Labour Party administration and the United Workers' Party. Mr. Skerrit says this upcoming election due next year will be the most important one since independence.
This election, whenever it is called by the appropriate authority in accordance with the Constitution, will be the most important election since our country attained political independence in 1978. And in this election, the people of Dominica will decide on one party that can assure and has a plan to assure progressive growth and prosperity on one hand, and on the other hand, uncertainty and confusion that is occasioned by inexperience and incompetence on the part of the United Workers' Party. So that's a choice the people of Dominica have to make. And to determine which group of men and women are more serious about the welfare and well-being of our country, and who are better able to advance the economic fortune of Dominica. What I will say is this: in the final analysis, it is left to the people to decide. I always tell people I have only one vote, and I vote in one polling station in Vegas. The people will decide who they wish to govern the affairs of the country whenever elections are called for the next 5 years. And it's a choice between a group of experienced people and the opportunity to advance progressive growth and prosperity on one hand, that is provided by the Dominica Labour Party, on the other hand, uncertainty and confusion occasioned by incompetence by the leadership of the Workers' Party.
The Prime Minister says there is a stark difference between the leadership of the DLP and that of the opposition United Workers' Party. He pointed to the UWP's loss of a senator from Parliament as an example of the lack of sound leadership within that party.
To allow a senator to miss 3 sittings of Parliament to the point where the Speaker would write to the President, informing the President that a senator has missed 3 sittings and therefore he has vacated his seat in the Parliament, is telling on a leader. I can tell the country that this would never happen to me as Prime Minister with an elected member of Parliament, far more for a senator. And it speaks to the weakness of the leadership, of not taking decisive action and correcting this. And it is also a disrespect to the Constitution of our country that you would have a senator whose business it is to perform his duties in the Parliament to be working outside of Dominica, not available to the Parliament, not even during the budget debate. Dr. Thompson Fountain, as we speak, is no longer a senator in Dominica because he missed 3 consecutive sittings without the express authority to speak.
The opposition has stated its unwillingness to go through another general election without electoral reform. The Prime Minister says millions have been allocated for implementation of electoral reform. He says what's holding back the process is the inability to pass the required legislative amendments. That process has been held up by an injunction brought on by the Concerned Citizens Movement. Here is a segment of the Prime Minister's 2018 Year in Review in which he addresses this issue.
This cabinet, this Labour Party, has provided the commission with all of the monies it has asked of the cabinet to provide it with. And in difficult times, in hard times, when people need homes, and schools need to be built, and Margaret Hospital need to be built, and farmers need access to their farms, right? And people need monies to go to do surgeries elsewhere, seek medical care. In difficult times, the cabinet made monies available to the Electoral Commission to effect the process of electoral reform in Dominica. And in the first request of the cabinet, the commission asked of the government, the Minister of Finance, it's written bigger here, so let me get it. $3,942,803.80. We made that first amount available to the commission. And that amount was to purchase of the system to issue the national ID cards and to input the biodata of each elector in Dominica, and to purchase 330 mobile checkpoint units. That is a unit that will take your photograph and take all your biodata and input it in the system. So $3,942,803.80 which the cabinet approved. So as we speak, for over a year now, the commission has had the equipment, the hardware and the software required to issue the national ID cards and to go around the country in the various villages to get the information of voters and get the photographs and so forth. A second request was made of the cabinet to provide for additional sums for training and travel, and also employment of additional staff, purchase of a passenger bus, cost associated with implementation exercise including public relations, $1,959,647.43. Dr. Darrow, here you go to maths, you Google it out, $3,942,803.80 plus $1,959,647.43. So 5.8 million, close to $6 million in difficult times. The Minister of Finance advised the cabinet to make available to the Electoral Commission to effect the process of electoral reform. The other thing we did as a cabinet, as the executive, was to prepare amendments to the legislation, because the Parliament needs to give to the Electoral Commission the legal authority to issue the national ID cards and to go through the process that it has to engage with electoral reform. As you all know in the country, we went to the Parliament. There was a riotous situation. And in the judgment and the wisdom of the government in the Parliament, we decided to withdraw the bill and to go through a process of consultation. We had a consultation, we wrote to various stakeholders, asking them to submit certain recommendations. There was nothing substantive coming from them. That notwithstanding, in listening to radio programs and listening to comments about the draft bills, we removed certain sections of the amendments. And we went back to the legislature. The executive went back to the legislature seeking the legislative change and approval to the laws. Because that's all you need now. The only thing the country needs now is the legal authority to allow the commission to make those changes, to effect electoral reform and to start the process. The opposition with its movement, or what do you call it, the opposition party used that entity to file an injunction in the courts, preventing the government from seeking parliamentary approval to the amendment. So that's where we are. So the only entity that has shown interest in proceeding with electoral reform is the Dominican Labour Party administration.
Meantime, as far as being ready for the general election, the Prime Minister says his party is ready. To Skerrit in an exchange with Curtis Matthew during his Year in Review program on Tuesday.
If the Prime Minister will call election tomorrow morning, that he will be ready. The DLP will be ready. And I will say, based on what the people of Dominica are saying, including many supporters of the Workers' Party, that they really cannot fault this government on its efforts.
Could we have the elections based on the injunction in court? Could we have the elections without electoral reform?
The injunction in court has no impact on the calling of elections.
No, what I'm saying is, could we have the elections called without electoral reform? Based on the injunction in court?
Yes. Yes.
This has all the
And I will say this party which I have the honor to lead will never disenfranchise people by virtue of the fact they're living overseas. I believe it is a retrogressive step. And anybody who is proposing that we remove people who live overseas from voting, except if they die or etc. or so on, as provided for by the laws, is really not in the 21st century.
It's all systems go for 1st June official opening of the new Jungle Bay Resort and Spa. Andrea Louis reports.
The facility is being developed at Monakuma in Soufriere after its original location in Dalis sustained severe damage from Tropical Storm Erica in 2015. Developer of the Jungle Bay Resort and Spa, Sam Raphael, says the new facility will be opened in 2 phases and all is set for a June 1st opening of the first section of the resort.
But we're happy to announce that we will be opening the first phase June 1 of this year, 2019. So we're working diligently towards that. So we've got the first set of units that you see. We're working on a lot of finishings for them. And that's the first phase. And then the second phase goes beyond, which you can't see from here. And that work will be continuing throughout the latter part of the year, maybe into the start of next year. The first part consists of all the buildings that you see here, which is the restaurant in the background, reception area, and so on. We've got 2 yoga studios, we've got the spa, and we've got about 24 of the structures for accommodations. So that will be completed in the first phase. The second phase, we have another 36 structures, which we will be opening over the course of the remainder of the year.
Raphael says while the resort has been relocated to a new site, there won't be any changes to the activities and facilities being offered. However, the new location on the southwest will provide new experiences for the visitors.
We try to offer as similar an experience as possible. I mean, you don't fix it if it works, and it was highly successful, so we want to offer, but we still see maybe some opportunities here. Some of the things that that offered on this site are not offered on the other side. We now have a swimmable beach because we're on the Caribbean side of the island, so that is interesting. We have the hot sulfur springs, even though that took a hit from Maria, but we were, Ministry of Tourism, we're all working to get it maybe even better than it was before. The diving. So we have many things that this area have to offer that we didn't have before.
The Jungle Bay Resort and Spa developer says bookings have already been made for visitors to come to the property ahead of its 1st June opening.
The advantage we have over a brand new property is that we already have our clients, that we have about 10,000 repeat clients that would come to the old Jungle Bay regular, and they are eagerly anticipating the return. to see what it is that we've sort of created for them to host them. And then we're adding to that. So we are marketing as we speak very aggressively. So the combination of our old clients and referrals and the new markets that we're tapping. We are doing some bookings. So again, when we say the 1st of June we're opening, it's not that I can then change the date because we have bookings already, you know. Actually, even a little before that, we're a little premature, but we have to accommodate the people that we have bookings for, and so we don't have any choice right now. The audition is over. This is it.
When complete, the new Jungle Bay Resort and Spa will have a total of 60 accommodation buildings and 80 rooms. Andrea Louis, Channel 5 News.
New standards could be coming to the Combined Taxi Association this year. President of the association, Philip Gist, says a new committee was put in place to ensure the tourism stakeholders abide with the Tourism Regulation Act to improve the industry. If all goes according to plan, Dominicans could see the implementation of these measures by the second half of 2019.
We have a standards committee which I'm part of, looking at the standards because the Tourism Regulation Act was passed, I think, in 2016 or 2017. So there are things that have to be put in place together with the Tourism Act so they can put a little bit of more meat to the act. We expect that the Transport Board will meet to regulate the prices. That is a major concern for us. We believe that the organized store operators do not pay a fair wage to the individual servicing the organized stores. Hence the reason we have some persons not willing to do some of the organized stores for some of the companies. So that is a challenge for us. We hope that we can go through that hurdle, and the new cruise ship season, if all goes well, we'll be able to have all those things in place.
Gist says new vehicles to add to the existing fleet is also on the cards. He's hoping for government assistance in this regard and says more certified taxis on the road will help bring volumes of visitors to the various sites, especially when there are two ships in port.
The big bosses that we have, some of them are tired, some of them were battered by Hurricane Maria, they had some patches done, some basic repairs, some are not able to come back on. So we have a shortage of transportation in the big bosses area. We hope that, we have a proposal before government, we hope that can be given some consideration so the big boss owners can able to get the same concessions the farmer gets. Give it a TX so that individual is not able to compete with the locals on the road, but he'll be able to do the World Queer Music Festival, those kind of activities when needs arises for us to be able to have a good fleet.
You are watching Channel 5 News. We'll have more after this.
M&J Covering is the producer of designed galvanized and galvalume in Dominica. They design to your specifications, color and length, 4 styles of galvanized and galvalume pre-painted roofing sheets as requested, and supply all your galvalume accessories. M&J Covering helps you control spending and reduce waste. At M&J Covering, they are also equipped to build your roof to precise standards anywhere on island. So come to M&J Covering at 1 Mile in Portsmouth or call 445-5001-275-5003 today.
Dominica's Companies and Intellectual Properties Office has raked in over $2 million in 2018. Andrea Louis reports.
The Companies Office is responsible for the registration of business names, companies, and intellectual properties in accordance with the laws of the Commonwealth of Dominica. Minister for Justice Rayburn Blackmoore says that branch of his ministry performed well financially in the last calendar year.
And for those of us, we don't know, but when we just hear about companies, say, what is companies doing? And in terms of the generation of revenue. And I want to report for this year ending that we are able to actually, through the companies, almost $2.1 million was actually raised through the activities within the company's department. It deals with namely business names, international business companies, trademarks, etc. And so I want to commend the new acting registrar.
Acting Registrar of the Companies and Intellectual Properties Office, Atlin Nesty, says almost 200 local companies were registered in Dominica in the past year.
Just to give a report of the registration from January to December 2018, the number of local companies which have been registered is 193. The number of international companies registered is 159. The number of business names registered is 1,796. And the number of trademarks during that period was 172.
Nesty says she is pleased with the modernization of financial transactions which take place within the office as it continues to recover from Hurricane Maria.
We are improving in the ease of the financial transactions, and we're now placing there an automated machine so that you could use card transactions at our office. So this is something new. I'd like to thank the Minister and the Permanent Secretary for facilitating that process so that it will be easier for customers and clients to do business at the registry. Our office did encounter many setbacks during Hurricane Maria, where some of the files were destroyed. However, in an effort with proprietors and officers of various companies and businesses, we are now in the process of reconstructing files and facilitating companies to ensure that the continuity of their businesses and their registration and documents are restored.
The Intellectual Property and the Company's office, which was located on the corner of Turkey Lane and Independence Street, is currently undergoing renovation and has been relocated to the corner of Kennedy Avenue and Independence Street.
And the Prime Minister has weighed in on recent allegations of misconduct by the Minister for National Security, Rayburn Blackmoore. The online blog Mass in the Cemetery published what it claims are actual quotes from an alleged female victim who accuses the National Security Minister of improper conduct, a charge the minister has denied. The minister says he has brought the matter to the police, filing a criminal libel complaint.
I've been in active politics for 19 years. And I've learned in this position about the need not to rush to judgment and the need to search for the truth. I have heard of the allegations like everybody else, and as the Prime Minister, I had the opportunity to quiz the Minister of National Security on this matter, and he has vehemently denied all of the scathing allegations made in this article. But I will say this further, that as far as I know, there has been no report to the police by a friend of the alleged victim, by a family member of the alleged victim, or the alleged victim herself. And these serious charges would obviously, one would make a report to the police. None has been made so far. You'll also note that the authors of the article and the medium through which these people create this article are known to be propagators of lies and untruths about the government. But I would want to think that if you have, and of course, some of the details that they have, the details that they have included in this article, and I have seen and heard that one of the Catholic priests have objected to a number of the photographs, claiming that this is his home. This is where he has coffee, and those pictures have since been taken down. So if you have those facts and you're unable to substantiate those facts, so I can only deal with what I have before me. And what I have before me is that I do not have any information that would cause me to take action against the Minister of National Security in respect to these allegations.
To end the news, a look again at the headlines. The leader of the Dominican Labour Party says his party is ready for general elections whenever it is called. The Prime Minister says the UWP's Dr. Thompson Fontaine is no longer a senator after missing 3 consecutive sittings of Parliament. And a June 1st opening for the Jungle Bay Resort and Spa. Feel free to contact us at news@marpin2k4.com. You may access our past newscasts on our YouTube channel. On behalf of the production team, I am Julian Morris. Thank you for watching. Join us tomorrow.